Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 4, Chapter 9, text 24. Ishtva mam yagya hridayam
Ishta mam yagya hridayam
yagye pushkala dakshinehe
yagye pushkala dakshine
bhuktva cheha shisha satya
bhuktva cha iha ashish satya
ante mam samsmarshiyasi.
ante mam samsarmiyashi.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Lord continued, from the heart of all sacrifices, you will be able to perform many great sacrifices and also will give great charities. In this way, you will be able to enjoy the blessings of material happiness in this life, and at the time of your death, you will be able to remember me. The most important factor in this verse is the Lord's instructions regarding how to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the end of life. Ante Narayana Smriti. The result of whatever we do in executing spiritual activities is successful if we can remember Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the foundation. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And all other rules and regulations are subordinate to this principle. So any spiritual activity we are doing, it should bring us to remembrance of Krishna. This program of constant remembrance can be disturbed by many things, but Dhruva Mahārāja's life would be so pure, as assured by the Lord himself, that Dhruva would never forget him. Thus, at the time of his death, he would remember the Supreme Lord, and before his death, he would enjoy this material world, not by sense gratification, but by performing great sacrifices. So we think we can get great enjoyment when we satisfy our senses, but we get a lot of piety when we do sacrifices, and that piety gives us happiness, because there's different kinds of happiness in this world. So here Dhruv Maharaj is going to be enjoying happiness by doing good deeds, performing great sacrifices. As stated in the Vedas, when one performs great sacrifices, he must give charity not only to the Brahmanas, but also to the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. It is assured here that Dhruv Maharaj would be able to perform such activities. So, of course, sacrifice, that was the method of God realization in Treta Yuga. Yeah, in Treta Yuga. So it needs a lot of uh, wealth, grains, ghee, gold, a lot of things are required. So Dhruv Maharaj, he's in Satyug, so he can do all that, and he's going to be doing it to a very great degree. But what is the sacrifice we can do in this age of Kali? I hear Prabhupada is writing it here. So it is assured that Dhruv Maharaj would be able, okay, in this age of Kali, however, the great sacrifice is the performance of Sankirtan Yagya. Our Krishna consciousness movement is designed to teach people and to learn ourselves the exact instruction of the personality of Godhead. So Bhagavatam also says that this age of Kali, the age of Kali is an ocean of faults, but there is one great thing, that chanting of the holy name is there. And Bhagavatam also predicts that those who are intelligent is going to worship the Lord by chanting the holy name. So this is the process given to us in this age of Kali for perfection, chanting the holy name, Sankirtan Yajna. In this way, we shall continuously perform the Sankirtan Yajna and continuously chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Then at the end of our lives, we shall certainly be able to remember Krishna and our program of life will be successful. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever we remember at the time of death, that state of being will attain in the next life. So if we want to go back to Krishna, we have to practice to remember Krishna during the life. And the easiest way is to chant the holy names, to do kirtan. In this age, distribution of prasad has replaced distribution of money. No one has sufficient money to distribute, but if we distribute Krishna prasad as far as possible, this is more valuable than the distribution of money. So prasad distribution, that is giving Krishna consciousness to everyone. So Prabhupada is pointing out that when we do sacrifice, then money is given, like how Dhruva Maharaj was giving a lot of money. But in this Kali Yuga, there's not sufficient money to go around and all the riches. And that has been replaced by distributing prasad. Prasad should be distributed as far as possible. And this is more valuable than distribution of money, because money, someone will take it, use it, spend it, again get karma for it. But if someone gets prasad, then that's helping that person to develop their emotional service, their love for Krishna, to begin their spiritual journey. The distribution of prasad always has to be accompanied by chanting the holy name. Always, anything we do, deity worship, accompanied by chanting the holy name. Distribution of prasad should also be accompanied by chanting of the holy name. Is that all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Tato gantasi matsthanam
Tato gantasi matsthanam
sarvaloka namaskritam
Sarvaloka
sarvaloka
namaskritam
namaskritam
uparishtad rishibhyastvam
uparishtat
Uparishtat Rishibhyas
rishibhastvam
yato navartate gataha.
Yato na
yato na
vartate
avartate
gataha.
gataha.
The personality of Godhead continued, my dear Dhruv, after your material life in this body, you will go to my planet, which is always offered obeisances by the residents of all other planetary systems. It is situated above the planets of the 7 rishis, and having gone there, you will never have to come back again to this material world. So Dhruv Lok is a Vaikuntha planet. It's where Shweta Dweep is, where Shirodakshai Vishnu is living. In this verse, the word Navartate is very significant. The Lord says, you will not come back to this material world, for you will reach Matsthanam, my abode. Therefore, Dhruvlok, or the pole star, is the abode of Lord Vishnu within this material world. So we may say, oh, how can be? But we see we have Vrindavan also within this material world. The Dham is spiritual. We may not be able to see. What we can see is just the dust and the dirt, because we do not have the spiritual eyes to see it. So we are just seeing with our material eyes. But the Vrindavan is the Dham. Mayapur Dham is here still. So the Dhruv Lok, the pole star, is a Vaikuntha planet in the material world. Upon it, there is an ocean of milk, and within that ocean, there is an island known as Shvetadvip. It is clearly indicated that this planet is situated above the 7 planetary system of the rishis, and because this planet is Vishnu Lok, it is worshipped by all other planetary systems. It may be questioned here, what will happen to the planet known as Dhruva at the time of the dissolution of this universe? The answer is simple. Dhruva remains like other Vaikuntha lokas beyond this universe. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented in this connection that the very word Navartate indicates that this planet is eternal. So someone will say, okay, when Brahmaji dies, the entire universe is collapsed. It goes inside the body of Mahavishnu. What happens to Dhruva? But it is eternal, so it always stays. It remains like other Vaikuntha lokas beyond this universe. So it's always there, always is there. It may be manifest or not manifest. That's different. Means it may be visible to our eyes or it may not be visible to our eyes. I mean to say that. Like the sun, right now it's not, right now it's visible to us. But in the other part of the world, in America, it's not. Doesn't mean the sun does not exist. So this is the point we have to understand. Okay, Maitreya Vachan.
Maitreya Uvacha
Iti archita sa Bhagavan.
Iti Archita Sa Bhagavan
Ati dishyatmanaha padam.
Ati Dishyatmanaha Padam
Balasya pashyato dhama.
Balasya Pashyato Dhamma
Swam agad karuda dvajaha.
Svam Agat Garuda Dvajaha.
The great sage Maitreya said, after being worshipped and honored by the boy Dhruva Maharaj, and after offering him his abode, Lord Vishnu on the back of Garuda returned to his abode as Dhruva Maharaj looked on. From this verse, it appears that Lord Vishnu awarded Dhruva Maharaj the same abode in which he resides. His abode is described in Bhagavad Gita 15.6. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. So Bhagavad Gita Krishna says that that you come back to me, to his own abode. And Lord Vishnu is giving, so Shvetadvip, where Lord Vishnu stays, that's in Dhruva, in the pole star. That's where it is. So api sankalpajam Vishnu.
So api sankalpajamah Vishnu
Pada sevopasaditam.
pada seva upasaditam
Prapya sankalpa nirvanam.
prapya sankalpa nirvanam
Nati prito bhyagat param.
na atiprit abhyagat puram.
Despite having achieved the desired result of his determination by worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord, Dhruva Maharaj was not very pleased. Thus he returned to his home. So he got what he wanted. He got what he wanted, but he's not very pleased. But he went home. By worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service, as instructed by Narad Muni, Dhruva Maharaj achieved the desired result. His desire was to get a very exalted position, excelling that of his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. And although it was somewhat childish determination, because Dhruva Maharaj was nothing but a small child, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is so kind and merciful that he fulfilled Dhruva's desire. Dhruva Maharaj wanted a residence more exalted than any ever occupied by anyone else in his family. Therefore, he was offered the planet in which the Lord personally resides, and his determination was completely satisfied. Still, when Dhruva Maharaj returned home, he was not very much pleased, for although in pure devotional service, there is no demand from the Lord, because of his childish nature, he had demanded something. Thus, although the Lord also fulfilled his desire, he was not very pleased. Rather, he was ashamed that he had demanded something from the Lord, for he should not have done this. He's just feeling, oh, I desired it and I engaged in devotional service. So he's feeling bad about it. But the Lord fulfills his desire. So which goes to show that we have and the Lord it's a desire which was kind of impossible, no? Because if Dhruv Maharaj would have come to Brahmaji and said, give me a planet greater than yours, Brahmaji will say, how can I give it to you when I myself don't have something greater than this? Or if he would have gone to, any other personality. So he went to the Lord, and the Lord was able to fulfill his desire, whatever he wanted. Pure devotee, of course, he does not want anything material. Vidur Uvacha,
Vidur Uvacha,
Sudurlabam yat paramam padam harer.
Sudurlabam yat paramam padam hare.
Maya vinastacharana charanarjitam.
Maya vinastach charanarjitam.
Labdvapi asidhartham iveka janmana.
Labdva vapsi asiddhartam ivaika janmana.
Katham swam atmanam aman yatarthavet.
Katham swam atmanam atmanyatarthavit.
Sri Vidur inquired, my dear Brahmana, the abode of the Lord is very difficult to attain. It can be attained only by pure devotional service, which alone pleases the most affectionate, merciful Lord. Dhruv Maharaj achieved this position even in one life, and he was very wise and conscientious. Why then was he not very pleased? So because Maitreya Muni is giving him narrating this pastime to Vidur, and he's saying, yeah, Dhruv went home, but he's not very pleased. So Vidur is then asking, okay, then why is he not very pleased? Saint Vidur's inquiry is very relevant. The word arthavit, which refers to one who knows how to discriminate between reality and unreality, is very significant in this connection. And arthavit is also called paramhams. A paramhamsa accepts only the active principle of everything, just as a swan accepts only the milk from the mixture of water and milk. A paramhamsa accepts only the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his life and soul, neglecting all external material things. Dhruv Maharaj was in this category, and due to his determination, he achieved the result he desired. But still, when he returned home, he was not very pleased. So Paramhamsa is always just attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. He sees Krishna everywhere. Paramhamsa, he's called like a swan. Swan can drink the milk. If there's mixture of milk and water, the swan is so expert that he will just drink the milk. So Paramhamsa is like that. He's so expert that he just sees the Lord everywhere. And Dhruv Maharaj is on that platform. He is on that platform. That's what he's saying here. Maitreya Vacha Matu Sapatnya Vagbane.
Maitreya Uvacha Matu Sapatnya Vagbane.
Riddhi Vidastutan Smaran.
Vidhi Vidastutan Smaran.
Naichan Mukti Pater Muktim.
Naichan Mukti Pate Muktim.
Tasmat Tapam Upeyivan.
Tasmat Tapam Upeyivan.
Maitreya answered, Dhruv Maharaj's heart, which was pierced by the arrows of the harsh words of his stepmother, was greatly aggrieved, and thus when he fixed upon his goal of life, he did not forget her misbehavior. He did not demand actual liberation from this material world, but at the end of his devotional service, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared before him, He was simply ashamed of the material demands he had in his mind. This important verse has been discussed by many stalwart commentators. Why was Dhruva Maharaj not very pleased, even after achieving the goal of life he desired? A pure devotee is always free from any kind of material desires. In the material world, one's material desires are all most demoniac. One thinks of others as one's enemies, and one thinks of revenge against one's enemies, and one aspires to become the topmost leader or topmost person in this material world, and thus one competes with all others. So material desires. Dhruva Maharaj, he had material desire, and that's the reason he began his devotional service, because he wanted the fulfillment of his material desire. So Prabhupada is explaining to us that a pure devotee has no material desire. Pure devotional service begins from the liberated platform. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that the pure devotional service begins from the Brahma Bhuta platform, when one is understand that I am the spirit soul. But what happens in the material world? We have a lot of desires. And what are these desires? This is my friend, this is my enemy, this is my enemy, so I want this bad for him. I want this one to suffer in this way. Or I'm the greatest, I'm going to become great in this way, I'm going to become top in this way. And in this way, we are all competing with one another. And after all, we want to become Krishna. That's the reason we are here in this material world. All this originally, it stems from our desire to become Krishna and our envy of Krishna. Why is he God? Why am I not God? I'm great also. So because of this fault, we are here in this material world after all. This has been described in the Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter as Asuric. A pure devotee has no demand from the Lord. His only concern is to serve the Lord sincerely and seriously. And he's not at all concerned about what will happen in the future. So the pure devotee, he has complete faith in the Lord. He's completely dependent. Like a child. The child just cries and he knows the milk will be supplied to him. He doesn't worry that will I get my next meal or no, will I get my next milk or no. No, he knows my mother and father are there, they're taking care of me. And similarly, the pure devotee, he is completely dependent on Krishna. He's completely understood that it's Krishna who's maintaining me. We are all actually dependent on Krishna. It's just we don't want to accept it. But the pure devotee is understood it. In the Mukunda Mala Stotra, King Kulashekar, author of the book, states in his prayer, "My dear Lord, I don't want any position of sense gratification within this material world. I simply want to engage in your service perpetually." So Maharaj Kulashekar has written this prayers, Mukunda Mala Stotra. He was about to leave his body, and then he was given one moment that he's going to leave the body in one moment, and he was fighting on the part of the demigods, and they told him, "You have only one moment to live." So he came back to the earth. He fixed his mind on the Lord, and that's how he went back home. Just one moment. So what is he saying? He's saying, I simply want to engage in your service perpetually. It's a small booklet, Mukunda Mala Stotra. Very nice. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya in his Shikshashtaka also prayed, "My Lord, I do not want any amount of material wealth. I do not want any number of materialistic followers, nor do I want any attractive wife to enjoy. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim." The Shikshastakam, Lord Chaitanya is saying that. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. I don't want material wealth. I don't want followers. I don't want to enjoy with a an attractive wife to enjoy with. The only thing I want is that I may engage life after life in your service. Lord Chaitanya did not even pray for mukti or liberation. So this is the Shikshastakam. In this verse, Maitreya replied to Vidur that Dhruva Maharaj, influenced by a revengeful attitude. Oh, I'm sorry. Shall we stop here? It's still long. Were there any questions or comments?
I just wanted to say one thing. When you mentioned here that what is the nature of, like, we want to be the masters of ours. So then in one of the lectures, Adigadada Prabhu also said that in this material world here, we celebrate the Independence Day because we are in the material world. And in the spiritual world, the Dependence Day, because we are dependent on Krishna, as you mentioned, that we are totally dependent on Krishna. So this was one of the difference that he mentioned, and there was something really different. So it stayed.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.